Good afternoon and welcome to today's Wednesday webinar. I'm glad everyone could join us. And today I am Paige Parker. I also have with me, let me get where I can change my screen, Joel Atkins, our digital learning coordinator, and Shanna James, who's the product manager for evaluation and learning. And we're going to be talking about eCourses today. I know that with everything that's been going on in the state, the nation, I've been hearing the term COVID adjustment a lot lately. So one of our COVID adjustments is, what are we going to do about professional learning? What are you going to do about all those summer conferences and summer workshops that you usually have now that we're still trying to social distance as much as possible? And one of the options can be eCourses. So that's our topic for today. Shanna and Joel, would y'all like to say hello?
I will say hello. I have to go find Shanna and move her over here.
Oh, okay. She needs to get promoted.
Yeah, I'll work on that.
Okay, thank you. So we're going to ask that you use the Q&A window. If you look in your little bar, the Zoom window bar, there's a Q&A button, and that's what we're using for questions. We're going to ask that you post questions about today's topic, which is eCourses, but if you do have questions about other topics, please email them to training@eduphoria.net. We would love to hear your questions, but it's hard for those who are trying to keep up with questions to listen to what I'm saying and answer questions that are totally off topic. So if we can get all the questions about today's topic in the Q&A and any other questions go into training@eduphoria.net, that would be great. Okay, here is our agenda for today. We're going to talk about managing an eCourse. We're going to set one up, go through the settings, look at the things that you need to think about when you're building an eCourse. We're going to talk about authoring an eCourse. So that's where you actually create the content and put it in there. We'll talk about ways that you can add content to your courses, and we'll look at a couple of sample courses. And then we're going to talk about instructing an eCourse. So once it's built and people join, then what do you do? So we're going to talk about that as well. That's it for my slideshow. I'm going to go ahead and jump over into the application and start showing the eCourses. And I do have, I'm going to click right here while Joe is looking. The question came up, will we be sent the recording? Yes. For all of our webinars, we record them, and anybody who is registered, whether you attend or not, you will get an email after the fact with a link to the recording. So you will have this after the fact. Also, if you lose that email or anything like that, we post all of the recordings of our webinars in our online help section. So if you go to online help and go to training and webinars, you'll see those past webinars out there, and you can find the recordings and view them anytime you want to. So you get the email, but you also have access to it in online help.
And Paige, I was going to add,
Yes.
since we've moved over to Zoom,
Yes.
those emails go out a full 24 hours after this recording. So you won't get that email till tomorrow after 2.
Yes, thank you for that, because they used to go out the same day with our previous system, and now they don't go out until the day after. So don't panic. You're still going to get it. It just won't come until tomorrow. All right, I am going to jump in to Strive, and we're going to go ahead and start building an eCourse. I'm going to start the same way that you would for anything that you do in professional development. I'm going to go to Workshop Settings, and I'm going to go to Course Management. But instead of going to to Courses, which is where you normally go when you want to set up a regular course, I'm going to go to eCourses, and it's going to show the ones that I have right now, and then I'm going to create a new one. So this part looks very similar. I'm going to go down to Add a new eCourse, and I'm going to start a new one. I can copy one if I have a format that I like. If I've been using sort of a template and I want to keep using that same format, I can copy one, but I'm going to just start a new one and say next. And I'm going to title the course for today Instructional Strategies. And we'll see if I spelled that right. Okay, I think maybe. I'm going to click my next button. And then, as with the regular courses, I can go in and add my dimensions. So I'm going to say everything we do gets the 4.3 because it's professional development. But since this is instructional strategies, I'm going to say it also hits 1.4 activities and 2.4 differentiation. So those are the dimensions that I'm going to tie to this eCourse. And I'll say next. And the course is created, begin editing eCourse. So that probably looked a lot like what you're used to doing when you build regular courses. What is different here is when we start putting the content in. So I do want to talk about some of the settings that are different. You'll notice up at the top, there is a status for the course, and I am in draft mode right now, which means nobody can see that course. I can tell by looking here at the yellow dot, and I can tell by looking over here in my eCourses window that it's still in the draft section and is not moved up to an active eCourse. So my status drop down is right here. I can go from draft to active, and then if I no longer want to offer this course, I can archive it. One of the things that's different with eCourses is that there's not a specific start date like there is with the face-to-face course. So I can open this course and have it open for the entire semester or even the entire school year and have people come and go. They finish the course at their own pace. The thing is, they don't get the credit until the class is finished, until I grant them the credit. So usually I want to open the course, have it be open for the semester, then I'm going to archive it, but I'm going to make a copy and open it again in the spring, but it will be a new copy of the course. So it'll be starting all over again. I don't have to rebuild that. I can archive a course and then copy it into a new course, start it all over. And that way I have people starting and finishing within a semester's time instead of leaving it hanging open the whole time. I still have some of the same tabs up here that I've had before. I can go to my setup and I can look at some of the things that we looked at before, but there are a few things that are a little bit different, like this content authors right here. So I'm just going to go quickly through. I can add a description if I want to, and I can add prerequisites just like I can in a regular course. I can have whatever additional fields that I created. I need to have an instructor, just like I do with a regular course, and those instructors have to be entered in the workshop setup, just like they do for the other courses. It's the same list. So when I go to workshop setup and I go to instructors over here, the people that are listed, they're the only people who can instruct my face-to-face courses, and they are the only people who can instruct my online courses. If I need to add an instructor, I'll come down here to the Add Instructor button, find my staff member. I'll type in, I'm going to see if Joel has an account in there. It did not return any results. So let me just say teacher. I know I have a couple accounts with that in the name. And it's going to show me my list of who I can choose from. And teacher, I'll just say teacher can be an instructor. So now I'm going to click next, and I've added a new instructor to the list. So here I've added a new instructor. When I go back to my course management and eCourses, there's my draft. When I go back to instructor now, teacher is an option. So I can make whoever I want to be the instructor, but they have to be set up in the workshop setup first before they're going to be visible here. In addition to instructors, I have managers and authors. We have course managers in regular courses too, and these are people who have the limited course manager role in the management system. So that's where you create them, not over here in workshop setup like we do for instructors, but actually in the roles and rights, they have to have the limited course manager. And they can come in and change dates or change locations or things, do some of those kinds of edits on this part, on the setup part, but they are not going to be authors. So if I want somebody to be able to create the content of the class, then I have to make them a content author. So I'm going to set admin because that's how I'm logged in as the content author. That means the ability to build that course. You can have more than one author if you want to, just like you can have more than one instructor, more than one manager. and I'm going to click Save. The survey is not any different from what you do in a regular course. If you want to require a survey, you check it and you select your survey from the drop-down list. If you don't want to require a survey, you can uncheck it and a survey will not be required. And then when we go to credits and categories, we're going to have some differences here as well. When I go to course credit, I can give the number of hours. So I'm going to say this is a 2-hour credit. But this down here, the scoring credit, looks a little bit different because you have 3 options with an eCourse. You can say that the instructor is going to receive the scores based on a passing percentage and review them and then grant credit. So there has to be an instructor who's actively checking and monitoring and granting credit for people who pass based on what I'm saying. So here it's set at 70. Maybe I want to say my passing percentage is 80. To get credit, they have to make at least 80% on the assignment that I give them. And I can say I want to be able to grade that, or I can say I'm not going to give them a grade, or I'm just going to give them pass-fail. So it's not really about that percentage that we were looking at. I'm just going to look at what they did and I'm going to say, yeah, you pass, or no, you don't pass. Or the other option is that the system automatically grants them credit based on the passing percentage that you set. For this one, I'm going to just leave it at the system automatically grants credit, and we'll look at that option in a little bit. I'm going to click Save. And that's really all I have to do to set up the course. I will need to come back after I have my content done and change the status of the course. So I have to remember that it's still in draft mode until I come back and make that change. So I do some of the setup at the beginning, and then I'm going to come back and do one last thing after I'm through adding content. I will still do my attendance the same way. They can enroll, or I could enroll them. If I wanted to do it that way, I could. And I still have notes and attachments that I can include, and I still have the discussion board, just like you do with the regular course. Any questions about creating an eCourse?
I haven't seen any come in yet. We answered one question about awarding credit.
Oh, okay. About how it gets awarded?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, good. All right, so I think the setup is enough like the regular courses that it shouldn't be that confusing. The biggest difference is the scoring credit. If you want to have one of these different options, you've got to set that up and be ready to go. And then you can also allow them to retake the course if they fail to earn credit. So that kind of depends on what your end goal is. If you're just wanting them to learn the content, then you can allow them to retake the course. If you want to know, okay, they really don't they're really not at the level that I want them to be, you might not want to allow them to retake the course, and you'll handle that some other way. Okay, so that's managing the course, and that's by going under course management and going to eCourses. The next thing we're going to do is look at authoring a course. And to author a course, I have to go to the instructor author section. So I'm getting out of management and going into instructor author. And when I go to instructor author, it tells me, do I want to look at the standard courses where I'm set to be the instructor, or do I want to look at the eCourses where I'm set? I want to go to an eCourse, and I need to refresh because it's not showing my new course yet. So let me do a refresh real quickly. All right, back to course management, instructor author, eCourses, and there's my new course, instructional strategies, and I want to go in and author that course. So I set it up, created it under management, and then I go to instructor author when I want to put something into that course. And this is what the interface looks like for building a new course. I'm going to come down to the bottom and I'm going to create a new element. So basically I just have a blank slate right now and I've got to put some things in there. I can create a chapter, create a topic, or create an assessment. So I'm going to start by creating a chapter, and I'm going to call that chapter, What Are Instructional strategies. And I'll click the next button and finish. So that gave me a Roman numeral in my outline over here. I have my chapter title, which I can edit, and I have a place to write a description of that chapter if I want to. It depends on how in-depth your e-course is going to be. I'm not going to put a description in for this one, but I might later on feel the need to go back in and have another course that's a little more in-depth that needs descriptions. I'm going to click on my finish button, and yeah, that's I'm going to delete that chapter because I accidentally added it in 2 times. Or actually, I'm just going to leave it there and just change the title because I can do that as well. So I'm going to change this to be types of instructional strategies and save that one. And then I might want to have one more chapter, and I'm going to call it assessment. Okay, so now I have my 3 chapters, and I can edit those as I need to, but I can also go back and say I want to add a new element. Right now, that's all there is. It's just a chapter. I need a page where I can put some things in this chapter. So I'm going to come up to my first chapter and say I want to create a new element. This time I'm going to do a topic. So chapter 1 is going to have at least one topic, maybe more, and I'm going to call it I really don't know what I'm going to call it now. So
definition.
Okay, there you go. Thank you. Thank you, Joel. All right, so I'll call it definition, and I'm going to tell it what chapter I want to put it in. So I'm going to put it in the what are instructional strategies and say next. And I'm finished. And now over here, you'll see that my first chapter has a little plus sign beside it, and I can expand that and see my definition page that I created that's blank and ready for me to add content. So let's talk about the kinds of content I can add. I can come over here and type. This is what they call a WYSIWYG editor, which means we're creating a web page in the background, but it looks more like a word processor. So I can type I can type that in there, and I can make it bold, and I can make it bigger, and I can do all those things that you can do in a word processor because it's designed to have those tools, but it's actually creating a web page in the background. So now I'm going to cheat a little bit and come over here and grab some info that I stuck in my notes, and I have a definition, and I'm going to paste it in there. You can do the same thing. You can find something that you have from another source and copy and paste it in. Or you can organize your thoughts in Microsoft Word and have everything typed up and copy and paste it in. The nice thing about using Word is that it writes HTML code in the background. So if you format it in Word and then copy it and paste it in here, it will keep all of that formatting. I always recommend doing that if you're going to try to put a table in, because tables are way easier to do in Word than they are anywhere else. There's not even a table button up here. So you could copy that formatting from Word and paste it in here, and it would keep it. If I had made something bold or underlined in Word, it would keep that formatting when I come over here. So that's a nice way if you're if you're good with Word and that's how you think, go ahead and set up your course in Word and then copy and paste that information or that content in here. I can also add an image to my page. So there's a button up here that it looks like a picture of somebody, and that's my insert or modify image button. So I'm going to click there and say that I want to add an image, and there it is. I need to make that box a little bigger so I can see all of the options, but I'm going to go and choose my file, and it's out on my desktop, and we'll see. There we go. So I have a graphic that I grabbed earlier. I could put in alternate text, which is what's going to, if I float my mouse over it, that's what it's going to pop up and say. So I'm going to just say Marzano's. I'm just going to call it Marzano's 9. Oops. And then I'm going to click on the upload button right here. And it's previewing my image for me, and I'll say okay, and it puts it on my screen. So I can add images to my page. They can read about instructional strategies, the definition, then they can read about these 9 that come from Marzano, whatever other content I want to add. It's fairly simple to add images and to add text. And I can format, I could make something, I could say I want that one to be in red, and I want, oh, I did the highlight, didn't I? Yeah, I do that every time. Don't want to highlight. I want to make that back to 0, and my text is going to be red. And then that one, I'm going to make my text blue. And this one, did I hit it? Yeah. And this one, I'm going to make my text green. So I can do some formatting things. I can use bold, italics, underlined, all of those tools that I'm used to seeing. So I can create my text and add images to create content that I want them to read and understand.
Hey, Paige, I just wanted to share. So we're getting
Yes.
a lot of questions about what you will be showing, and I just want to assure everybody, if you would wait, she will be showing how to do links and videos.
I will. I promise.
But I also wanted to share something that I used to do with the images. Someone asked about this. Is I would design what I wanted in a PowerPoint, for example, or a Google Slides, and then use that to export everything as images,
as an image,
and upload those images as the individual topics.
Yes. So I have pros and cons to that. To me, that's a great way to get it looking exactly the way you want it to look, and then put it in as an image, and it's going to stay that way. And then on the other side, if I catch a typo after I've made it into an image, I have to go back to PowerPoint to edit and read, blah, blah, blah. So I usually put my images in and put my text in separately, but you can do it either way. And like I said, I like to do my formatting in Word, or it could be in PowerPoint too, I think. But either way, you can copy and paste it in, and it will hold that formatting. So those are both, I think, good options. And if you want to just make, what you'd see on this screen would be about the size of a slide, I could just make one slide image that had that on there.
I definitely agree with that, especially what you said about being able to edit. So
yeah,
from my previous experience, making a presentation, we're using PowerPoint slides, and then after someone tells you that there was a typo on slide 6,
yeah,
it's like, oh, I gotta go redo all that
yeah.
in PowerPoint, and then export, and then import. Yeah, I understand.
So that's because I always catch a typo at some point, and that's my only drawback to doing them, to not doing the text here, because here I can always go back and make a change to my text and save it, and it's going to update in the course. So pros and cons. All right, so I wanted to show images first and text because that's your basic method of adding content to your courses. But I'm going to come down now to types of instructional strategies, and I'm going to add a new element, and I'm going to call it samples or sample videos. Okay, so I'm going to show you a couple of different ways to do. Put that in types of instructional strategies and finish. And now I can go to my plus sign and see that there's my sample videos. So there are a couple of ways that I can add things in to my course. If I have a hyperlink, which I just happen to have, I can copy it. Oh, I forgot to go find the I'm gonna have to go to another course and steal because I forgot to copy the code. Unfortunately, at this time, we don't have a button that looks like a hyperlink that you can just click and add a hyperlink in there. I wish we did. And the same is true for videos. It's coming, but we don't have it right now. So what I'm gonna do is, let me save what I have so far. I'm gonna jump into another course and I'm gonna author it. And I'm gonna look at right here, I have a link that I've added in. So I want to find that the code that goes with that link. So I'm going to come over here and my old eyes are looking for, here we go. I think I have to start with that A, is that correct?
Yes, it's always
Okay.
the A.
A to A. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start with the less than symbol and the A, and I'm going to go all the way to the closing A at the end, and I'm going to copy that piece of code. If you're smarter than I am and can remember that really all I have to have at the beginning is this less than A space href equals quotation mark, or yeah, quotation mark, then my link, then what I want it to say, and then the A. I can't remember all of that, so I'm going to copy this and I'm going to go back to the course that I'm working on, author, and I'm going to say, let me go to my page, and I'm just going to paste that whole thing here. This is not where it lives, but this is where I'm going to put it. I'm going to download this document because that's the text that they're going to see and click on. I'm going to say click here. And then instead of this link, I'm going to come over here and copy that link that I want to use, and I'm going to paste it in instead of this one. So in between the quotation marks, I'm going to paste the link that I want to use, and this is the code that I need to have. Now, it's here on my screen now, so I can mess with it, but I need to cut and then come over here to the HTML window. So I'm going to toggle over to HTML source, and I'm going to paste that string of code that I just used, and I'm going to go back from my HTML source back to my regular window, and now I have a button that says click here, and it's hyperlinked. And I'm going to save it.
Can I add something to that page?
Absolutely.
I used to teach web design, and so that code, if you ever need help finding that code, if you just use Google to find everything like most of us do, I usually will type in there code for a link, and it'll have that ahref code in there for you. And it's also in our help documentation. Someone asked specifically, and I'll send a link out for that. But
okay,
we also have it in there. But yeah, it's the code that embeds a link.
yes. So and he's right. You can do the href, and then these quotation marks right here are where you would put your actual link, and then finally add the thing at the end. If I don't put the part that says click here, it's just going to show the link as the thing. So it wouldn't have the click here, it would show the actual link there, but it would be a hyperlink. So you can copy it and paste it from wherever, but you do have to go in and go into the HTML and put that piece of code in there that tells it where to go. And then there's no save button when you're in the HTML code, so you have to go back to the main screen and then save. So that could be a link that goes to a YouTube video or a video stored somewhere else if you wanted it to be, or it could be a link to an article, which in this case it is. This link is going to go to an article that I want them to read. So I would say click here and read the article. You will be asked to write a summary later. So that's some content that I want them to read, and then they're going to have an activity about that content later on. Maybe I have something else that I want them to do. I'm going to go to YouTube, and I'm going to find a video. Now, not everything lives on YouTube. I'm aware of that, but I can find some good stuff out here. As Joel was mentioning earlier, we have created some of these courses before, and we have a YouTube channel, so we can go to our own YouTube videos and get this code. Okay, instructional strategies, that's the word I left out. I was like, I'm not seeing what I was thinking I was going to see. And there's the one I wanted right there. So this is a video about Marzano's strategies. I don't need to see the commercial, but I want to share that video. So I'm going to share, and then I'm going to say I want the embed code. And when I come over here, it's going to show me the video that I'm copying the code for. That's the code that I want. All I have to do is click on this copy button right here, and it copied it to the clipboard for me. And then I can go back to my page. And again, I'm going back to the code, and I'm going to paste in what I just copied, which a video is going to start with this iframe and end with iframe. And then I'll go back to the main page. And there's my embedded video. So it's not difficult to do. You just have to go copy, and we're used to copying from share. We're used to copying the link, which shows right here. But what you want to do to put it in an eCourse is just click on this little embed button that will give you the code that you need to paste it into any HTML section. And that's what you're going to do in eCourses. If you have a video that you created yourself, you need a place that you can upload it so that you can get that embed code to put it into the course. So like I was saying, we have a YouTube channel for Eduphoria where we can upload our webinar videos and other instructional videos, and we could link to those in courses if we needed to. That might be something that your district can help you with. You can also find out if your district just has a space on a server that you can store your video, and then you can create your own embed code. So if you look at the code here, there's going to be an address in there. So there's the URL. So even if you can get your video posted on a district server and get the URL for the video, you could generate Google to generate, or copy one of these and generate your own embed code and just replace the URL with the URL of where your video lives. So you don't have to go to YouTube, but you have to have the video has to be hosted somewhere online in order for you to be able to embed it in the course. And then I would give them some direction and
And Paige, while you're typing that, I was also going to say some other files in Google Drive work, like slideshows, some
yes,
presentations. You can also get an embed code, and then you can embed a Google slideshow. There was a website, I don't know if it's still around, called SlideShare. It's really just taking things that you might create on your computer and uploading it to a place that not only stores it, but creates that embedding code to where you can put that in other types of media.
I believe Vimeo will give you embed code.
Yes.
And what is that?
Found on the web.
Oh.
What is that one that you
talking.
used to be able to make like little cartoon slides?
Powtoon.
Powtoon, yes, Powtoon. If you make a Powtoon presentation, it will give you an embed code. So there are several different resources that you can create content online, store it in their system, and they'll give you an embed code that you could then use here in this course. But you can also create your own, and I'll show you some examples of that in just a few minutes. Any questions about adding links and adding videos?
Just reminding, because we've received a few questions on this, and it's, I think you did demonstrate it. You can embed a video if it's on YouTube or if it is saved on your Google Drive, for example. It creates a code whenever you put it up in a drive. The key to remember, though, just knowing from some support tickets I've seen, make sure that if you're using a Google Drive video, that you've given permission for people to
Right.
view it publicly or unlisted, because sometimes you might embed something and it works for you because it's your video and you have access to it, and you might have forgotten to change that video over to where others could view it.
Okay, I'm going to try to grab a video. Nope, I don't have the ability to do that. I don't have a video to show you because I didn't think about that question coming up. Let me see if I have anything in my drive. That's a .wmv, but that's a very good point. No, I do not. So what I would do is come to that video, and I would say I wanted to get a shareable link. I don't think it makes the code for me. At least if it does, I don't know how to get the code, but I would want to get the shareable link, and then I would also want to go to my sharing settings and make sure that anyone with the link can view it. So I'd need to go into my, got it. Why don't I see advanced? Because I don't own it. Usually there's an advanced, or maybe they just changed it and it doesn't say that anymore. I want to say anyone who has the link can view. So I'm going to change the rights on this video to anyone who has the link to it. But I don't want to make them, I don't want to let them edit it. I want them to be viewers. So anybody who I give the link to can view this video. Okay, so now I'm going to paste my link in here just so I don't lose it. There's my link. I need to go back and either go to Google and get the code, but since I know I want it to be the same size and everything, I'm just going to grab that code that I used before. Well, let me do it the other way. I'm going to grab that link and cut it from that page. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to paste it in to right here. And so now that's my Google. You can see it says drive.google. Maybe you can see it. It's probably small on your screen. But I've pasted in that Google Drive video. And now when I go back to my HTML code, oh, it was sad. It refused to connect because it's in Colin's Drive. But it was, if I really had the rights to it, it would go ahead and put that video in. So you can put video from wherever it's stored online. You just have to paste it into that iframe code in between those parentheses. No, quotation marks. Okay, so that's embedding video, and we talked about links, and we've talked about adding images and adding text. The last element of an eCourse is, and I'll go and say create a new element. I'm going to create an assessment and click next, and I'm going to call it quiz. You can call it whatever you want to, and I'm going to tie it to the assessment chapter and finish. And so it's going to come over here and give me my quiz window. This should look familiar to you if you've worked in FormSpace or anything else. I'm going to add questions in. I've got instruction blocks where there's no response required. I'm just going to give them information. I have multiple choice, true, false, a text box, and a file upload as my options. So I could go in and say true, false, and I'm going to click here to edit the question. True, yes. Do I want true or yes? Do I want false or no for the correct answer? I'm going to say true is the correct answer. And the question text is, I have read and understand. The reason I want to do this is you can use a quiz as an acknowledgement if you want to. So in some courses, you might just want them to take the content and say, yes, I have completed it. I'm not going to give you a quiz. You're not going to get a grade. I just want you to say, get to the end and say, yes, you understand what you have just read. And I'm going to say, yes, no is going to be my display option. And so the correct answer is yes. And if they don't get the correct answer, they don't get credit for having done this. It's an easy thing to do, but they have to go all the way to the end in order to do it. So when I go back and look, I got click happy. So I'm going to delete a couple of those. And hopefully I'm deleting the right one that doesn't have my question in it. Okay, so there's my question. True, false, yes, I've read and understand. The other thing that I wanted to show you that I think is really nice for quizzes, well, two. One, I can do a text question, and I get to say how many rows, and I can go all the way to 15 rows, which is pretty good. So this can be an essay question. And so I said earlier that they were going to read that thing and write something about it. So I might say, write a summary of the article you read, and then save that, and that's going to be their second question. And then the other one that I like is I can do a file upload. So I could give them an activity to do, or I could give them the assignment that says, create an activity for your classroom and upload either the lesson plan or a picture of your kids doing it or something, some evidence that you have used this in your classroom, and they could go in and upload that file. So those are all different types of questions that you can add to an assessment. And then this was the quiz that we said, is it going to be graded automatically by the system? Well, it can't be if it's an essay question and a file upload. So I would want to, now that I've created my course, I would want to go back to the management, and I would want to change my setup, my credits to be instructor reviews and scores. So the instructor wants to go in and see that the course that they said yes, and look at the other things that they were required to do, and then give them credit. So it's not going to be an auto grade. And then I might also want to take that off if I'm going to do it that way. Again, when I'm ready for my course to be open, I have to change it to active, and then I'm going to save it. One other thing that I forgot to do when I was in the author side, sorry, on my quiz, I'm going to go in and click on my quiz. There is an icon up here that's the settings for this assessment. So I need to say, is this practice or is it required for credit? And I'm going to update it saying that it's required for credit. The default is practice. So if I want it to be required for credit, I have to update that, make that change. I also have the ability here to add additional media files. So you could just add your videos here, but they have to know to go look for them, and they don't. So that's why I like to embed them and have them show up on the main screen. But you can put additional media files over here if you want to.
Hey, Paige, can you
Yes, sir.
show how a user then finds the course and registers for it?
Absolutely. So now that that course has been made public, I'm going to go over to my teacher login. So I'm logged in as a teacher now. I'm going to go into Strive, and I'm going to go to available courses, and there's my instructional, oh, that's not the right one. This is my instructional strategies course up here. It is an e-course because it has the little computer icon on it, and it tells me it has 2 credits, and I can see when it's supposed to start. I don't know where that start date comes from. Oh, I don't remember putting a date in there, but that may have been a default date that was in the system and I just didn't check it. So all I have to do is enroll in that course and say, yes, I want to enroll, close it. And now when I go to my professional learning screen, it's going to show me these are the things I'm enrolled in that I can do right now. And so I could go into instructional strategies, and I could go to the course content and say, I want to view chapter 1. And it's going to open that window, which I could, of course, make full screen. And I don't know why. I guess I have to click over here to.
I don't think you added content beyond that.
Okay, I thought I
you?
did the definition though. Let's see. I may not have saved something correctly. Sorry. Let's see. Here's my sample video. So that's what my content should look like. And again, I can make it full screen if I want to. Click here and read my article. It's going to open that article up. I'm going to close that back down, and well, it took me straight to the Marzano. It took me straight to that next link. So I'm going to get out of there. But that's how I would view my content. And then I could come over here and view the 3rd chapter. That's going to be my quiz, where I will say, yes, I agree. I will write my essay, and I will upload a file. And then I'll ask for it to be scored. And then, okay, didn't like it because I didn't attach anything. Let me just grab the first thing that pops up. Bonk. Okay, now I can say I want to score that assessment. And when I click the next button, I'm done. And after I have finished all 3 chapters, I will request credit. So I'm going to click this button up here to request credit. Now it's going to go to the instructor of the course, and they're going to see this information. I don't get a passing percentage, and that's because not everything is graded correct, is gradable. That's what the instructor has to do. So that's how I would register and access the content. I would go to my available courses to find it and enroll in it. And once I've enrolled, I go to my professional learning section, open it up, and view the content. Okay, last section is instructing an eCourse. So what do I have to do as the instructor on this eCourse? So I'm going to go in, this time I'm going to go to digital citizenship, and I'm going to go to participants. So I am the instructor. I can see the participants from here. So I can go to each one as they come in. I can see, okay, I made a Page teacher, which is not me at all, made a 72 on the objective questions, which does not meet the 80% threshold that I had set. It meets the 70% that was the default, but not the 80 that I changed it to. So I might want to look at her questions and see, okay, 72, how close is that? Why did she make 72? Let me take a look and see what I want to do. So I can go to assessments, and I can look at the quiz and see what they got right, what they got wrong. Well, they got this one wrong because they also got that one wrong. So that's like a twofer. I can look at those questions and assess, do I want to let that slide, or do I want them to have to retake the assessment? If I want them to redo it, I can click on this button up here and ask them to redo that quiz. The same as here, I can look at the short answer that they put in, and I can see they got credit for it, or do I want them to redo it? I can also look at the time details. So the summary of all sessions was 10 minutes and 45 seconds for a 2-hour credit. And so that's another thing that I might consider in terms of my decision to grant credit. And then I also have a staff discussion tab. So if I want to leave some notes about this particular attendee, I can put that in there, and anyone else who is an instructor in this course can see this as well. So it gives me a place to sort of write about that. Let me go up here and say I want to return the quiz as a redo. As soon as I send something back, one thing that I want them to do, then this return to attendee button opens up. So now when I return it to them, they know what they have to do. It's going to say it's been marked to be done again. So I'm going to say return to attendee, and now this teacher is going to get that course back. It's no longer in my pending review section. And when I go back to, let me refresh over here. When I go back to digital citizenship in my professional learning, I'm going to have to redo that test. So I'm going to have to go back to course content, and you can see I don't have my check mark anymore there. I'm going to view and redo this quiz. So I can see what I answered before, and I can evaluate my answers and make changes to the quiz. And so I don't really, I'm just going to change a couple because I'm not paying attention. But then I would say score the assessment, and it's going to send it back to the instructor, and it'll get graded again. So that's what it looks like on the instructor's end. Oh, I have to request credit again. So now it's, oh, still saying 72. So I did not make good changes on there, but I can always go to a course, look at my participants, look at the time that they spent on something, look at their individual assessments, and see how, one's already graded for me, but I can override that. So even though this one is showing, oh, I did worse, 44% now. Even though it's not showing the full amount of credit, I could come up here and override that and grant credit if I choose to do that. So I have that option, and I also have the option to leave some notes about this incident, and then I could view the notes if anybody else had left notes before me. So the credit, once the credit is granted, that person is good to go. Again, there's no closing the course until you archive it at the end. And I would, whatever period you want to keep your courses open for, you can do that.
And Paige, I wanted to add too, the way I've seen a lot of this with the time details and the assessments is with compliance training. So
yes,
think about using this with your teachers and staff as a way to get them that annual compliance, maybe with if you are using the embedded video, you can get that time report and make the determination of, did they really watch the video if they completed the course in 1 minute versus taking the time to watch whatever is the media that you might have embedded.
exactly. I was going to try to open this up as a user, but I already have credit for it, and so I can't right now. But this is an annual compliance course that is created, and I could go in and show you kind of what it looks like. But there's a chapter on bloodborne pathogens with several different things. You'll in this one, there are some PowerPoint presentations that are linked out. I don't know where, but there are some in here that are linked to PowerPoint presentations that are on the system. And then there's some of them have a quiz for the end of each chapter. So you could have a chapter on bloodborne pathogens, a chapter on diabetes, a chapter on food allergies, whatever you need to have in your online compliance courses, and then they get one score at the end to give them credit for having completed all of that. I also, Joel mentioned you could embed some things from Google Docs. I just wanted to mention that you can embed a PDF version of a document that's stored in Google Docs. So if you wanted them to read, like in my previous district, we posted the district policy in the compliance course, and it was a PDF that they could just scroll through while they were in the eCourse. And the same is true for Google Forms. You could include a form as an activity in your eCourse and get the embed code from a Google form to collect information or answers from them. Okay, I have about 5 minutes, so I want to show a little bonus nugget here at the end that is not eCourse related, but it is COVID adjustment related. I know that many of you have had courses planned for the summer, and you may be struggling right now to figure out how you are going to do those courses. I thought I had added one in there. How you're going to do those courses. There we go. So I had an instructional strategies face-to-face session planned for June 16th. And now I don't know if I want to bring people in on June 16th. What am I going to do about that? So you can leave your courses set up this way for registration so that attendees can go ahead and find them in the catalog. They can go ahead and register. But one option that you have is to go into your workshop settings, which I'm not, there we go, workshop setup. And I'm going to go to training locations, and I'm going to add a training room, and I'm going to call it Zoom Meeting Room C Course Description. And I'm going to save that as a location. So now I can come over to my course again. And what, how did I get? I'm going to come over to my setup, and I'm going to change my location. It's not going to be at the elementary school anymore. Now it's going to be at the Zoom meeting room. And so when I make that change, that's going to show up on the registration information for your teachers. So if they go look at their registration, oh, I forgot to save. I always forget there's a separate save button. I have to change it and save here and make sure it says it right here, and then I can save for the whole thing. So now when the teachers go and look at their overview, it's going to say that the location is, there we go, Zoom meeting room, see course description. So now I want to go to the course description, title and description, and I want to paste the Zoom or whatever system you're using link here. So this is not what it would say. This is what you would do. You'd paste in whatever the link was to your Zoom meeting and put it in there so that they would have that link, and that's where they're going to see it. The other thing that you could do is go to all of your attendees and click the email everybody and say this session will now be held virtually. Click on this link to enter the course. So you can take your courses that you were planning to do face-to-face and you can do them virtually, which I think y'all have probably been doing some of that. I just want to remind you that there are some features here like emailing everybody with the new location or adding the Zoom meeting as a location that you could put into the sessions so that people know where to go. And then I would want to put the actual link in there also so that they have the link. I'd put it there in the description, and I would also put it in an email to everybody. And you could also put it in the notes and attachments for the class, just so that they can always go back and access that link.
Paige, I've also seen some districts that have put in the title, like this is now, like not only in the description, but in the title, now in
Yes.
online or whatever.
Now virtual, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that's a good idea. You want people to see it. You want them to be aware of it. That's why I like the emailing all the attendees, because they're going to get a separate notification. And if they get an email and it has a link in it, that's going to be helpful to them as well. But you can put it in the title, you can put it in the description, you can put it in notes, you can put it anywhere that you think your people are going to see that information and still use the schedule that you had, but you'll be teaching virtually instead of face-to-face. And you might want to use the notes and discussions section for any handouts that you have, because you can always come down here and say you want to make your notes visible to the teachers and then you can add file attachments. So I could add any handouts or anything and any instructions that I want to give them here in the notes and attachments section. Okay, any final questions?
There's just been some, can I see this again? Can you do
Sure.
this again? And my answer has been just because of time.
Yeah.
That just everyone needs to remember, you know, when you register for these webinars, you will receive this video. So
That's right.
if there's something that you missed or can you see again, the answer is in 24 hours, you'll get an email with the link to the video and you can watch it at your own pace.
And as many times as you want to.
You can watch page over
All day long.
on a loop.
That's right. All right. Well, if you do have any other questions, remember you can always find us at training@eduphoria.net. And then also you can sign up for updates if you're not already on our mailing list. In our online help, you can go to the announcements section and you will see how can I receive announcements? And that will take you to this form that you can fill out, and then you'll get our email blasts when they come out. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. Thank you for your time this afternoon, and I hope y'all have a great summer with lots of virtual courses that you create in eCourses. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you next time.